key to journalism is, of course, that you have a desk, you have an output department, you reporters are the eyes and the ears of a news organization. You have to carry forward. But somewhere I feel in today's world, which you will be the future of journalism, is that do sometimes you just want to stand as a mute spectator to what is happening around you, or humanity comes to you first? I mean, we were talking about TRPs, and there was a time where a lot of channels would actually report with their camera person, with their crew, standing over there, probably a woman getting beaten up. And they were standing there with their cameras, reporting the whole thing. Now at that time is when your moral compass should start kicking in. That am I here only to capture what is happening because I'm doing my job? But do not forget that you are a human being first. And there are times when you have to cross that line and not say, oh, I will only do this reporting because my news channel will get it first and then it will become a sensational thing. But what about you and your responsibilities as a human being first? There were so many incidents I remember where we would watch these on a lot of channels and say, okay, fine, this was happening. But what was the camera crew doing? Why just standing there and watching? Did they call out? Did they interrupt? Did they interfere before the woman got stabbed? Or were they just standing there and filming it and saying, I will get this news out first? So somewhere that balance between being a human being and being a journalist has to be done properly. Please remember, it is your responsibility as well. Do not lose that humanitarian emotion in you as a human being first. Always think of how and where people can be affected. Until and unless you don't have your facts right, please do not get carried away by this whole fake news, rumors, etc., which can absolutely go viral in today's day and harm more than help the betterment of society. So that is a great responsibility that you carry. The enrichment, the betterment of our society through you, because you will become the media. I can stand in a corner and shout all that I want, but only my four walls will hear. But who will take my voice across is you, the media, the journalists, the reporters. And then that, remember, is a very big responsibility for you, because you are the medium that will reach out to the masses, to the people of this nation. So, you know, there's a lot of times where can I get a hand mic, please? Is it possible to get a hand mic? You know, can I also have some of the lights on? I feel cornered in that corner. Yeah, can I have some of the lights on, please? Yes, thank you. Can I also have some lights in the audience so that I like to see the people whom I'm talking to? It's too dark. Thank you so much. Hey, hi, I'm Raveena. Nice to see you all. This is better for me. You know, like I was coming to, you guys are students. You'll always see people who are on screen larger than life. But as a star, as an actor, or as someone who's constantly being written about, talked about, is also the viewpoint that I want to give you today. We are also human beings, but the kind of stuff and the kind of articles that we face sometimes also gives us a big question mark that, is this the same person they're talking about? The story, that the rumor that's just been floated, is that really me? It's not always like that. I'll give you a small example of how irresponsible media can be or has been. Very recently, first I'll talk to you about my 90s, what happened in the 90s. I went through this phase where I contracted brain fever. I was shooting in Delhi for a film called Bade Miyan Chote Miyan, and it was carried through a mosquito. And I remember another colleague of mine had also just got brain fever, and I flew down to Bombay. I was shooting for a film called Ghulam-e-Mustafa, and I started getting this intense headache which would not go by anything. I was shooting with Nana and Nana Patikarji, and he also gave me some medicine. He said, you have this, you'll be better. But by lunchtime, my headache had become worse and worse. And there was a a colleague of ours, Meena Ayerji, was there with me, spending the day. Bhavna ji who was spending the day with me, and she was doing a full a day in the life of an actor kind of an article for a magazine called Filmfare. So by afternoon, it started becoming really severe, my headache, and I was literally banging my head. And when I was walking on the street, I could feel the road like going concave and complex. And ultimately, they just told me that, we'll pack up, you go see a doctor. I called my doctor, Dr. Agarwal, and I said, this was happening to me. He said, come to Nanavati ASAP. And my back had started stiffening as well. So the pain was almost here traveling down my back. I reached Nanavati Hospital. They did lumbar punctures on me. I did an MRI because they said this kind of pain is only if you have a tumor in the head or brain fever, which is meningitis. And they did the lumbar puncture, everything. They admitted me right away started mannitol. Mannitol is a medicine which is very strong, which goes to the brain. Started me on medicine immediately. My fever started rising. And I was admitted to the hospital for 21 days till I was fine. My parents were informed, the doctors were there. Meena Ayerji in Filmfare that very month wrote about how I fell sick, how I was rushed to the hospital, and how they started my treatment, and I have brain fever, meningitis, and I'm not working now. So it became very big news. Another film magazine, the same month, same article. But what was getting them eyeballs and TRPs? That Raveena Tandon tried to commit suicide. So I went through this whole phase of literally 9 months after that. I mean, Dr. Agarwal was so crazy. Nanavati Hospital issued a statement. No, she has brain fever. These are her reports, everything. But who had caused sensation news? The other film magazine. And who sold better? Yeah, the gossip. So see, what they don't understand at that time, they went away with it and I cursed them to hell. I did. I'm human. I was not magnanimous about it. I hated it. Because I had to go through nearly 1.5 years until now. Somewhere on the internet, again that surfaces. She had tried committing suicide, but now they've changed the list of people who might try to commit suicide for. That list changes every article. So I'm like, okay, but last time they wrote that I tried to commit suicide for that person, but now it's for this person. Shit, okay, damn good, yeah, cool. So that keeps changing. So this is what we are talking about, irresponsible journalists. They don't understand what we go through or what the human being goes through by just creating this kind of news. Because for when I resumed shooting, all the stars, all the other junior artists and everyone around me who are my co-workers, the dancers, etc. They said, "Ab aapki tabiyat theek hai na? Kyun aapne TIC-20 piya? Kyun aise kiya?" And I'd be like, I had meningitis. Matlab ke dimag ki bukhar. Because I couldn't explain to them what brain fever was. So that is what happens. And you go through that whole thing, of trying to constantly beat that rumor and trying to, salvage of whatever's left of your reputation after that. So think about that also. Think about the human aspect of it. Secondly, just recently, chalo, those were the 90s when once the headlines hit, you couldn't change it because there was no social media, there was no Twitter control, there was nothing that you could reach out to people and say, "Aisa nahi hua tha bhai, aisa hua tha, this is the proof." Jo headline ek baar chhap gayi, wo chhap gayi. You had to deal with it. Clarification ya apology bhi aata tha, it would be the thin underline further, nobody will see. Matlab ye 10 chashme bhi lagaun to dikha nahi. Khair, no problem. Now today's world, and today for people like you who are going to become journalists, is another lesson. A few days ago, a few months, I think just a month ago, you'll all know that the farmer dharna had happened, right? That the farmers were asking for their rights. Rightfully so, because I've always called them my annadatas. They are, our bread and butter reaches us because of them. And there was this whole dharna happening, and there was a lot of food being thrown and a lot of milk being poured on the roads and everything. And there was one article that I read in the Hindu newspaper, where the president of the Farmers Association in Rajasthan said that hum peaceful dharna kar rahe the. Some anti-social elements hijacked our protest, and पूरे दूध की टंकियां जो मिल्क ट्रांसपोर्ट होता है जिसमें खोल के करीब 2 करोड़ का हमारा नुकसान कराया है. So it was not the farmers actually who had done that. and they had overturned all the milk, and those poor farmers in Rajasthan suffered 2 crore ka loss. Quoting that article, I put a tweet on it saying that these kind of people should be put into jail. I was talking about the anti-socials. Because I obviously thought someone who will read my tweet will read the whole article first and then will realize what I've said. That was not so.